Oh, that would have been. Thanks, Schultzy. That would have been much better. Welcome to the Dynasty Pulse, everybody, on the Fantasy Football Advice, Fantasy Football Plus, and the Undroppables, like it says right there on Mike's chapeau. It's French for hat. Also Quebecois for chapeau, which is hat. Welcome to the show, you guys. We're going to talk about some things. Yeah. Like and subscribe, hit the bell.
Stuff and things.
If you want to find my content specifically, scan the QR code that's up there in the top corner, and that'll take you straight to all of the links for my Twitter and Fantasy Sports Advice Network, all of my YouTube shows and their YouTube shows as well. Player Profiler. I don't share my OnlyFans, but
sorry.
Yeah, you know. Not just anybody is like into these feet.
Nothing like a little shameless self-promotion to kick ooff the Pulse.
I don't have an OnlyFans, although with this toenail polish that I'm wearing, I absolutely should because it's color change depending on temperature. So like right now, it's kind of like a calamine lotion color, but then when my feet get cold, it's like more of like a dark pink. It's like really, really cool.
I thought you were about to say when it gets really cold, it's like blue. And I was like, that might be frostbite.
No. All right. So what are we doing, Mike?
It's like besides...
Also, if you scan that QR code, my phone number is there. So you can call me or text me. I'm pretty sure an email address. You can also Venmo me. Just like send me some money.
So, send it away, folks.
I just got this thing. It's called dot cards, and it's so much easier to go to there and find all the links and everything. These guys are going to wind up doing it eventually too. So you can find all of us there, and
we should just got our producer to hook us up and have him do it all for us. Like that would have been the most logical thing. He could have linked it all together. So that's a project for him in the near future.
I do feel
producer.
Bad, the avatar that I used for that account, it's a picture that I took at the expo with Casey Kasem, and I had to like lop her out of the picture, and I don't feel good about it. Shout out Casey, we love you. All right. Let's get this road on the show, Mike.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna do a quick injury roundup, and then we'll talk about a couple storylines here that I wanted your opinion on. Okay, so first, let's get into the injuries. And as we approach week 6, several players are dealing with injuries that could significantly impact fantasy lineups for the quarterbacks.
I didn't notice. Are there?
Yeah, lots, man. Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is limited with an oblique injury, raising concerns about his availability. Looking like he should be playing this week. Meanwhile, Buffalo Bills Josh Allen took a tough hit to the head, but hasn't been reported as injured beyond that. So he should remain in the lineup and be a top option. But we know he's got a tough matchup for his wide receiver. So don't expect prolific numbers from the QB1 of the Buffalo Bills. Monitor Richardson's status closely. If he's unable to go, it would mean a bigger role once again for Joe Flacco. But we'll have to see what happens there. In the wide receiver department, Houston Texans wide receiver Nico Collins is headed to the IR with a hamstring injury, sidelining him for at least 4 weeks. A huge blow for fantasy managers. And let's take a pause here and talk about this one a little bit here, guys. Not great news for the wide receiver one in the Texans offense, and a guy that was busting through the door as a top 10 option as a dynasty wide receiver with the way he stormed this year. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll start with you, Bigz, on the Nico Collins. I know we're all very disappointed, but what advice do we have for fantasy managers? Are we just going to stay put? Obviously we can't do anything about it, but let's go. Let's hear your opinion.
I feel like Stephon Diggs has made himself into a trade target if you're a contending team. Tank Dell his value just increased, and Xavier Hutchinson, he's probably still on somebody's taxi squad or on the waiver wire. Go get him. Xavier Hutchinson is a must add.
Agreed. 100% there. And like you said in a show that we did earlier today, like he's the direct replacement for Nico there. So whether he gets the targets that Nico was garnering, you got to at least think that there's going to be 6 to 8 going his way in these upcoming weeks. And yes, Tank Dell's going to garner a few more, and same with Stephon Diggs. I don't think it's a 1-for-1 exchange, but both Tank and Diggs should see an uptick, and as well as Xavier Hutchinson there too. So yeah, good call on that, Bigz. And let's move on to another wide receiver. Rashad Bateman missed practice with a groin injury, leaving his status uncertain. He's coming off a decent game where the Ravens needed to pass the ball, and they'll need him again this week against a very, very striking Commanders offense. In Green Bay, Christian Watson has returned to practice, which could bolster the passing game, but he won't be playing this week. Keep an eye on Michael Pittman Jr., though. He's dealing with a back issue and may face an IR stint, further depleting the Colts receiving core. I know, Bigz, you're going to talk about Downs later on in the show here, but I'm assuming this whole receiving core is hurting right now. Josh Downs didn't practice today either, so there's a lot of question marks about that whole team in general. They're very, very banged up. So this Colts team needs some healing. What's your overall situation on that Colts team after your team gave them a good run for their money and beat them there, Schultzy?
Well, they're a hot mess like my team is, man.
And mine.
And Biggs's. The Anthony Richardson year 2 experiment is not going to plan. Injury aside, hadn't been super hot this year, and that the defense is just getting shredded by everyone. And yeah, no one's coming to save him, man.
Yeah, it's tough sledding there. And Bigz, what do you think?
I think even the Chiefs are a shit show, and somehow they're undefeated.
They're a complete shit show. Yeah, they are.
Wait, what do I think about the Colts? I feel like the right thing for them to do is to continue with Joe Flacco. But if Anthony Richardson can get on the field, he's going to play. It might be the wrong decision for the team going forward, but I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to, and it's not going to help anybody. So,
well, yeah. They have a banged up running back as well. Jonathan Taylor still not practicing, and Trey Sermon found the end zone. I don't know if he's going to be a week in, week out option with so little options around right now. So tough sledding in that Colts offense. And another blow that is going to hurt the Buffalo Bills is James Cook, that hasn't practiced yet this week. His status is up in the air as well. So looking like Ray Davis potentially could see an uptick here. Ty Johnson as well. How do you see that backfield playing out, Bigz, if James Cook can't run it with this weekend?
No idea how to handicap this one. I haven't liked any of the Buffalo Bills running backs except for James Cook. And the way that Josh Allen has been playing lately, and how just kind of out, like, talk about shit shows, the way that their wide receiver core is set right now. If I'm a defense going up against the Bills, I'm focusing 100% on stopping the running backs, because it's not like the wide receivers are getting it done. And that's bad news for the backups.
Yeah. It is. It's not great. Yeah, this whole situation in the running back room, the whole Buffalo Bills offense is in shambles. So what do you guys think of Josh Allen's fantasy value and headed, into this next couple of weeks here with that banged up receiving core, himself a little shaken up after that hit, and many people thought he should have not finish that game. So Schultzy, I'll start with you because I know you have a lot of Josh Allen shares because you were really high on him headed into this year. Still, you were a big truther of him, staying as that top guy. Are you concerned about Josh Allen now? Obviously there has to be some red flags here with some of his top playmakers not being on the field and, him being a little banged up.
No, not really. So the reason I loved him so much going in this year and that I thought he was still the QB1 is despite losing weapons and, the arguments everybody had against him were valid, but nobody plays hero ball like Josh Allen does. And nobody can just make it happen by himself like Josh Allen does, fantasy wise. And so that I wasn't concerned. And an offense is never gonna go out there and just pound the run and just try and establish the physical game. It goes through Josh. He's always gonna run. He's always gonna scramble. None of these things change despite who's playing wide receiver. So you could put up a bunch of jabronis and I'll still have Josh Allen QB1 because he's the hero and he's the guy and he's still going to run all the time. He's going to run in the red zone, especially without James Cook. Yeah, no concern.
He's still quarterback 5 with only 2 games of note on the season. He's had 3 terrible games and 2 good games, and he's still QB5. So, I mean, you got to roll with him.
Of course. Yeah. I'm worried about the amount of punishment he's taking. He's taken a lot of hits. He's having to scramble more. Like I just don't know how sustainable it can be if he's having to just take the team on his shoulders week in and week out, especially how bad they looked against the Ravens. But yeah, he's a must start if he's playing, but I'm worried about his longevity now. We see rushing quarterback similar to him in size, like Cam Newton, how fast he fell from grace. And I know Josh Allen's a better passer, but it just makes me think that, with the way he runs and, the way McDermott's offense is schemed right now, they're not giving him much, help around him. So I'm worried about his long-term longevity and, they got to start protecting him better and putting him in better situations. Cause what we saw on Sunday was a fucking gong show. And, I felt bad for the guy, especially having to play again after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is garbage. All right, let's talk about some more optimistic situation, and this is getting us all giddy, I'm sure. Brian Thomas Jr. has officially broken out, delivering an impressive performance week in and week out to start this year, and last week was no different. 8 targets, 122 receiving yards, and a staggering 24 fantasy points. His explosive ability was on full display. He is just playing top tier ball, and it's not surprising that he's being talked about in the same breath now with guys like Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison Jr. He seems like he was an oversight headed into this draft because he was playing with a guy like Malik Neighbors who was a target hog. But I was skeptical about Brian Thomas being able to be a target earner, and now he's earning those targets. How do you guys have him shaping up right now? Do you have him ranked ahead of Rome Odunze right now in Dynasty? Where is Brian Thomas now lining up for you guys in Dynasty in this rookie class as far as the wide receivers go? Where was he? Where is he? After 5 weeks, where is he lining up for you folks?
Wide receiver 4.
Wide receiver 4. Schultzy?
3.
So you have him ahead of Odunze right now?
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have him ahead. So you have him behind. So you have him ahead of Odunze. Both you guys have him ahead of Odunze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who do you have at 3, Bigz?
Lad McConkey.
You have Lad McConkey. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That's where it was falling into play. Okay. So it goes Neighbors, Marvin, McConkey, Brian Thomas for you, Bigz. And then for Schultzy, you got Neighbors, Marvin, Brian Thomas, Odunze.
Thomas, Rome. Yeah.
And then McConkey.
Yeah.
Or do you have Worthy sliding in somewhere there?
Definitely McConkey.
Okay. Yeah.
Worthy's not even on my list.
Like on your list at all? Okay, fair. Okay. Yeah, I got Brian Thomas.
Of my top 100 rookies, Xavier Worthy isn't even on there.
Yeah. I still have Adunze ranked ahead of him in Dynasty. I have Brian Thomas ahead of him in redraft right now. I just think that Adunze has that elite status eventually, but maybe not this year. But they're both splitting hairs right now. So, yeah, what a great story that's been. And a guy that if you have some shares of, you're probably very happy with right now. Anything else to add to that before we get on to our next story, guys?
No. It's just so happy for Jags fans because we've watched first round picks. They've had some good ones, but those were mainly like early first round picks that I kind of fell in their laps. But Jags fans over the last 10, 15, 20 years have not watched this team make like a productive latter half of the first round pick. So it's really awesome. We're like seeing tangible progress and results every week from this guy. And he does it in different ways every week. The whole game's coming together. That long touchdown he had this week, he was the fastest recorded ball carrier of any player in the league this season, like 22.15 miles per hour, I think. What's that in kilometers per hour, Mike?
Like 50.
8 Maple Leafs.
8. But yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. Sounds like a true homer. All right.
Yeah. He's almost as fast as Braelon Burks was at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Another homer. Let's go. All right. Let's move
on. What are
Little
Caesars Crazy Puffs? They're like little pizza muffins.
Pizza muffins? Right. We'll never see that here. Ever. It's a shame.
The Canadian mind cannot comprehend.
No. Let's move on to the New York Jets running back room because there's been a shift a little bit here, and a lot of people had Breece Hall as the number one dynasty running back headed into this year. I was one of them. Bigz, I think you were one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Schultzy, where did you have Breece Hall ranked headed into this year?
3. I had Bijan and CMC ahead of him.
Okay. And, both those guys haven't done anything to surpass Breece Hall at this stage. But one guy that is, taking some pressure and is looking to evolve a little bit here is Biggs' call as the number one rookie prospect at the running back position. His was Braelon Allen. And we talked about it on the Player Profiler Tailgate show this evening about, we've talked a little bit about the split here. And it's not that Braelon Allen is taking, work away from Breece Hall. Biggs, you kind of worded it like that. It's more of opportunity and situations, and where Breece Hall's been playing, Braelon Allen's not playing in the same situation, so he's seeing different looks in the defense and stuff like that. So are we concerned about Breece Hall moving forward in Dynasty? Braelon Allen is a young guy, 20 years old. He's got the size and the pedigree there that, can be, in a year or two, can really, really push Breece Hall. He's already doing it now. So are we concerned? And I'll start with you, Biggs, because you had a good, you had Breece Hall owners, speaking a little less, neurotically earlier today. We were a little less calm. We were a little more calm after you talked about it. So I want to hear you elaborate more on this situation here in New York.
Well, I'm glad I can be the voice of reason. Breece Hall last season was RB2. Is that right? Am I getting that right? RB2. And did he take every single snap did he dominate 100% of running back touches last year for the Jets? No, he did not. He had other running backs spell him. That's all Braelon Allen is doing. That's his role. Braelon Braelon Allen is not a feature back. Braelon Allen is not usurping any of the touches that Breece Hall gets. He's just taking advantage of the touches that he gets. Breece Hall's not in danger of losing his RB status. They've had a tough run of games. They've come up against some tough run defenses. They've had some tough game scripts that they've been dealing with. But at the end of the season, everything is going to shake out with larger sample sizes and everything. I think the Nathaniel Hackett demotion, and trust me, I watched as Todd Downing became the Raiders offensive coordinator simply because he was Derek Carr's good friend and quarterbacks coach. And he was garbage. He's not a good play caller. But there is one thing that you have to kind of look at with Saleh getting canned and Nathaniel Hackett getting demoted. There's something about calling plays in the NFL where you got to do what's simple and what works. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, don't try and be cute. Don't try and be tricky. Breece Hall is the motherfucking man. Give him the goddamn ball. And I feel like that's kind of the situation that got Saleh run out of town and Hackett demoted. Stop trying to get cute. They're trying to get cute. Make Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard. Give the ball to Breece Hall. Find Breece Hall in the passing game. When all those elements are working, the Jets can be a good team, and Breece Hall still has an opportunity to finish as RB2 this year, or RB1 this year. So that's how I see it playing. That's how I see it moving forward. Nathaniel Hackett didn't get demoted because he wasn't playing Braelon Allen enough. Breece Hall he's the big investment. He's the one that makes everything go. Todd Downing's going to get him the ball.
All right. Schultzy, anything to add to that?
I think the thing that got most people concerned is Bigz is right about, like, Breece wasn't the full-time snap guy last year either. We're just not used to seeing someone else come in and being effective. And I mean, Braelon Allen looks really damn good. And would he sustain over a full workload? Like Bigz mentioned, like, he's not probably a workhorse. Probably not. But right, he doesn't have to be. But I think that's why people are kind of like freaking out a little more, is because when Allen comes in, like, he is noticed, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's good, and he absolutely could carry a team. If he was on the Cowboys right now, there would be no question of the fact that Braelon Allen would be at least a top 10, if not a top 5 running back. But he's still the RB2 in that backfield. Now, obviously, if something happens to Breece Hall, then you're glad that you're sitting on Braelon Allen, but don't be afraid to utilize Breece Hall, especially going forward, because their matchups their upcoming matchups are pretty phenomenal. If I go to the buttons take so long. So Buffalo's a great matchup. That's coming up this week. Pittsburgh, not so much. Then New England, then Houston, then Arizona, Indy, a bye, Seattle, and then he finishes off week 14, 15, 16, 17 against Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, and Buffalo. That's like sky's the limit territory. As long as he's healthy going into the last 5 weeks of the season, he's gonna be a playoff winner.
All right. Let's keep going then. Let's go, Breece Hall. I'm excited for it too, because I'm optimistic. I hope I see a change here in the guard, because I think he's an outstanding talent and he needs to see the ball more. So let's get into the stock up, stock down segment. And Schultzy, lead the way with your stock up.
All right. For me, it's Bucky Irving. And I've always been a big Bucky Irving guy. Bucky Irving guy. And you know what? The Bucks are big Bucky Irving guys too, because he's seen at least 7 carries every game so far. Straight off the bat as a rookie, 9, 7, 9, 10, 9 are his carry counts so far. He's gotten a little bit of work in the pass game, but to me, this guy's just passed the eye test. Super efficient as a runner. struggled on the ground in week 2 against Detroit a little bit, but other than that, he's been pushing. He's averaging 4.89 per carry. Was his lowest game if you take out that Detroit game. He's same thing with like Braelon Allen when Bucky Irving is coming for a shot of white, like he's making himself noticed, and like that's a big deal. And you're drafting this guy in 3rd, 4th round of rookie drafts, and he's looking the part, and a lot of people didn't like him, but I did. So yeah, let's go Bucky Irving. Stock's going up.
Take that victory lap, Schultzy.
Yeah, take it around. We'll let you have it. All right, Bigz, stock up, my man.
Stock up. I'm changing from the show sheet. On the show sheet, I had Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is starting to establish himself with the injury to Brandon Cooks. He is the wide receiver 2 in Dallas moving forward, and the fact that Dak Prescott might have himself a second legitimate target to take pressure off of CeeDee Lamb is huge, and I see big things coming for Jalen Tolbert. But my stock up is now Isaac Guerendo. Jordan Mason suffered an injury just now last night, and he has been he was taken out of the game. The first running back on the field for the 49ers when that happened was Isaac Guerendo. Isaac Guerendo's value right now should be low enough that you can acquire him, especially if it turns out that Jordan Mason isn't gonna do, like, he's not going to miss much time due to the whatever injury he sustained just now last night. But Guerendo was the first go-to guy. So if he's in that San Francisco 49ers lineup, it's a plug-and-play system. He's got the athleticism. We saw it at the combine, and he's about to become the next Jordan Mason. So grab him while you can.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not a long-term injury, and the 49ers just can't seem to keep running backs in their stable. So it's just an ongoing thing year after year. And yeah, let's keep it up. Okay, so my stock up here is I'm going to talk about Tucker Kraft. And I got him in a lot of leagues at the end of last year, and I was really, really happy about it. And I'm reaping the benefits now because as the weeks roll on, it's evident that Kraft is the tight end to own. He's got some great performances that have catapulted him into not only the spotlight for the Packers offense, but the upper echelon in fantasy tight ends, with back-to-back weeks as the tight end 1 and currently ranked as the tight end 3 for the season. Kraft is proving to be a valuable asset, especially in dynasty formats where long-term potential is key. In just 2 weeks, Kraft has amassed impressive stats: 141 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 10 receptions. His receptions is big, but his touchdown upside is what we want in a tight end. He's getting, the yin yang kind of tight end situation there. So that's putting him in an elite status because he's probably going to break that 90 reception mark and the 10 touchdowns as well. So Kraft is on pace to be, a very, very lucrative tight end this year. In the landscape has been very, very tough sledding. He's a must-add for fantasy managers if you're in redraft, but in Dynasty, if you have him on your bench, if you've had him in your lineup now, you're starting him every week. He's a guy that is a future building block, and he's essential to have, and he's a masked Luke Musgrave, and I just think he's the target there to be.
What a sad story Luke Musgrave has been. Absolutely the tight end 1 in Green Bay, was starting his career fantastically, and then injuries and concussions just completely devastated what could have been. And now it's the Tucker Kraft show, who I just spent 350 of my 1,000 fab dollars on in the Dukes Classic to grab because I had Travis Kelce on bye this week. So I'm looking for Tucker Kraft to have a huge week so I can take down Tommy Moe. It's funny, in that league, it's an 8-team league, And Chalk and Tommy jumped up from the bottom half into the top half. They're coming for my crown. They're not going to get it. I'm running away with that league, you guys.
Not if I have something to say about it.
You
It's
don't.
been a fun league.
I just waxed you last week.
Oh God, I had
You
all my
Darnell
guys on
Mooney.
bye. My guys are now Amara on a bye. A Rich injured. Like we're good. We're good.
This is how good I drafted. I just lost Nico Collins, and I was like, oh well, I'll just slide Brian Thomas Jr. in there.
No big deal.
No big deal. All right, let's keep trucking. Let's go stock down. Who's your stock down, Schultz?
It's sad, but it's Anthony Richardson, man. Going into the season, the hype train. I mean, who wasn't on the hype train with this guy? You had Shane Steichen saying that, hey, we're gonna run the crap out of him. It's what he's good at. We're gonna let him go. And not only is he gotten hurt now, like many people were scared of, he wasn't very good before he got hurt. And Shane Steichen hasn't been running him like he said he was. So, like, you add that all up, you've got a quarterback who's hurt, who's not playing well, and isn't getting the opportunity to run like we were told he was going to. I don't know where his value is at currently, like on like keep trade cut, but dang, man, like this was the next fantasy, superstar, and I don't know what did to me. I guess you got to hold him still because the potential is still there, and I don't want to sell him off for something that he turns it around. All of a sudden, you're an idiot, and so I don't know. It's a situation that it sucks that I'm still holding on, but yeah, stock definitely down for AR.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, he was my first pick in the Scott Fish Bowl, which has led to me being in the bottom. What would that be? I'm in the bottom 63. I'm 63rd from the bottom of 30, almost 4,000 teams. And it's because I took that chance. Right now, he is still Dynasty 4 behind Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, ahead of CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. His value at this point is lower than his value is outside of the top 10. It's dropped precipitously over the last few weeks. So yeah, he was is that performance? Like what am I even looking at? What am I doing? I don't even trade value over the past 40 days. He's gone from he's dropped about 2,000 points in keep trade cut trade value from 81.50 to 54.35.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, I'm not selling him for whatever price he'd be worth right now.
No,
just because of the potential bounce back is way too worth it.
He's dropped 40% in the past month. Dropped 6 spots in the last 30 days and gone from an all-time best rank of 5th QB5 to now he's QB 14.
Whew.
Yeah,
which means time to buy. We saw Anthony Richardson. They put stat lines up through their first 5 games played in their NFL careers. He was right there with Josh Allen. So the sky's still the limit. And you're going to be able to get him for somebody on the cheap right now.
All right. Bigz, stock down.
Well, it's kind of goes hand in hand with Anthony Richardson, Josh Downs. And it goes hand in hand. I say it goes hand in hand with Anthony Richardson, which it kind of goes opposite hand with Anthony Richardson. Meaning, if Joe Flacco is in the game for the I did it again. I did it last night too. Indianapolis Colts. That's how old I am, folks. I still make that mistake. If Joe Flacco is starting a game for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm starting Josh Downs. If Anthony Richardson is, Josh Downs is an automatic sit. But by that logic, Josh Downs is still a big buy. His stock is down, which means it's time to buy.
Yeah, agreed. I love Josh Downs. I think his targets earning capabilities is there. He's shown that he could do that with either quarterback that's in the game. And it's just a matter of time. So yeah, I'm a big buyer of Josh Downs, but yes, his stock took a bit of a hit with Anthony Richardson's situation here. My stock down is Travis Etienne. Unfortunately, I mean his stock has gone down briefly here, and hopefully he can make a bounce back. In week 5, Tank Bigsby not only matched Etienne's stats, but playing 23 compared to Etienne's 22, but also outperformed him in efficiency. Bigsby turned 14 touches into an impressive 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a strong showing, and it's a telling sign of Bigsby's rising stock and his usage and high leverage situations as well. He received both red zone rushing attempts for the Jaguars in week 5, showcasing the coaching staff's growing trust in him to handle carries in critical situations, as the team found success with Bigsby on the field, resulting in their first win of the season. So unfortunately, it makes Etienne's stock decline further. It underscores his recent performance metrics. While his value as a pass catching back is still intact, the combination of his recent injury and reduced effectiveness in traditional rushing scenarios makes him a stock down, and I'm hoping he can bounce back from this because I've got a lot of Etienne in my lineups, and I need him to have a strong showing here, and hopefully they're just preserving him a little bit here. The Jags are a team that is bouncing back now, and maybe a resurgence of Travis Etienne is in the cards.
Why are you lying, Mike? It says Devin Singletary is your stock down.
Yeah, man.
No, Devin Singletary is my sit of the week.
Well, you got to mix
Grindberg's stock up, Tucker Kraft. Stock down, Devin Singletary.
Well, Travis Etienne is my stock down. I haven't mixed.
No,
Travis spoiler alert for later then.
Yeah, well, no. I mixed it up on the other side then. I have it here.
Can't trust a Canadian, can you?
No.
He's stock down, regardless. You know it.
Which means it's time to buy.
Ba to the stock down and stock up segment. Let's get into the starts and sits. Schultzy, start with you.
Hey.
Oh, wait.
Says Bigz introduces starts and sits.
Bigz, can you introduce starts and sits?
After we do studs and duds.
Let's do it. So who had a good week last week in predicting their starts and sits?
This guy.
And this guy.
And this guy. I had a really good week. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Schultzy, how'd you do?
Josh Jacobs, he had a touchdown first of the year, like I predicted. And I want to say he finished with about 80 yards. And I want to say he had a pass, maybe 2. Overall, solid day.
Solid day.
Devon Achane was not doing great, but then he got hurt. So, if you sat him, that was a win, but he got hurt. So it's kind of a wash. I don't know.
Wash your clothes. All right, Bigz, how did you do? What was your big take?
I said start Alan Lizard, and let's see what he did. He
got a touchdown, didn't he?
Merely went out and had 9 targets and a touchdown for 13.4 points, which was more than any of the guys I said to sit. So I say that's a win.
Good win. And what was your sit? You told people to sit your wide receivers?
I told people to sit all Raiders wide receivers, and Jacoby Myers scored 12 points, which was fewer than Alan Lazard. and Trey Tucker scored 9, and that was also fewer than Alan Lazard. So I consider that
Boom.
a win.
Sweet. And for me, I told everybody to start Tucker Kraft, and he went 4 for 88 and just a couple touchdowns. So that was a smash play. And I told everybody to sit Jordan Addison, and he went for 3 for 36. So definitely sit worthy. So a couple smash calls, and we're hitting on all cylinders here, boys. So let's get into this week's. Bigz, you want to introduce it?
Now it's time for segment 5, starts and sits. We'll start with Schultzy's start 1.
Colon, space, Chuba Hubbard.
There it is.
I like Chuba Hubbard a lot this week. My guy's coming off 3 straight weeks of top running back 8 or higher finishes, or weekly, finishes, including 97 yards or more in all of those. He's getting targets. He's gotten 4 or 5 receptions and 4 or 5 targets in his last 4 games. He scored a touchdown in the last 3 weeks in a row. He's got Atlanta this week, who just gave up a little bit of numbers to Irving and Rashad White. Regardless of how this one goes down, even if Atlanta throttles them, he's going to get some garbage time passes. And even if the game is close, he's going to get the carries to rack up the yards. And I think he, has a good shot to get in the end zone again. So give me some Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, and if you scan the QR code that's in the top corner, it'll directly link to our fantasy forecast show over on YouTube on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. And in our starts and sits show that comes out today, you will see that I also said start Chuba.
There
I didn't
you go.
even notice that until we fired that sheet up earlier, and I was like, "Oh man, look at us!"
Yeah,
Samesies. Right, Bigz.
which is good. I know that Mike read my other one before he did. Who was it? Josh Downs. He saw my Josh Downs. That's why he said sit him in the other show. My start is Tony Pollard. I never thought that those words would ever come out of my mouth. But here we are, and if I can find this real quick. So Tennessee Titans are going up against the Indianapolis Colts. They allow lots of yards and points. They just got taken out by the 0-4 Jaguars last week. They allow 48 yards per game in the passing game over average, which is the second best matchup, which means that Will Levis might be cooking. He might crack the top 24 quarterbacks and finish as like QB 20 this week. But it's really the run game where the Indianapolis Colts funnel the run to the tune of 60%, and that's because they're usually playing from behind and the other team is just running the ball, holding on to the lead. But they also give up 35 yards over average per game, which is the second best matchup in all of the entire NFL this week, which means that Tony Pollard is going to have a positive game script with the lead against the Colts, and they're just going to keep handing them the ball because why make Will Levis throw it? Just turn around and hand it to Tony Pollard over and over and over again. He's a must sit. Must start. I meant start. Tony Pollard's a must start.
Yeah, start Tony Pollard this week, folks. Okay, so my start of the week is Chase Brown, and I'm going to start him because Zach Moss is potentially sidelined with an ankle injury, and Brown is in line for an increased workload. He's already showcased his ability to produce when given the opportunity. He finished with 16 fantasy points against the Ravens, scoring 3 total touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. This rising star is in the Bengals backfield, could offer substantial value, especially against the Giants defense that has struggled to contain running backs. And if Moss is unable to play, Brown would likely take on the lead back role, and he's proven to have that versatility and efficiency as evidenced by his 32 touches and 3 touchdowns in just the last 2 weeks compared to 19 in the first 3 weeks. This shift in usage suggests that Brown is becoming the focal point of their rushing attack. Now, he's in that matchup, like I said, against the Giants, and they rank 20th in fantasy points per game allowed to opposing running backs, further enhancing Brown's potential for production this week. He has emerged. He's a compelling start for me in week 6, and I got him in my lineup wherever I can. He's not only a solid start this week, but also can continue to ascend in value as this season progresses.
Fair.
Let's go. Okay, stock down. Sits. I have a bad problem with reading these days, so I got my wires
and
crossed.
Speaking.
Yeah.
And measuring things like 8 Maple Leafs and degrees Celsius, like
and miles
Yeah,
and pounds and because it's all make fun of our system of measuring all you will. Try and tell me how yours makes any sense.
Well, there's a funny little skit from
On Saturday Night Live.
starring Nate
Bargatze.
as George
It was hilarious.
Washington, and it's amazing.
There's a sequel this week. Did you see this weekend?
Last week, yeah, I watched. Yeah.
Did you see the original?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
great.
showed it to everybody. I watched it 3 or 4 times. It's hilarious.
It's great. I was actually going to send it to you guys because you guys make fun of me all the time, and then I was just like, this solidifies.
We make fun with you, Mike. We don't make fun.
No. You make fun of me, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
We agree differently.
All right, shut up over there. Let me do the talking.
Who are you sitting, Schultzy?
You don't get to sit this guy, and I guess I don't. Get to sit him is like not the right word because it sucks that he's in this territory. But it's Mr. 1000 Mike Evans, and all he does is gets 1,000 yards every year. But if there's one Achilles heel to this man, it's Marshawn Lattimore of the Saints. Is the one player who just can, who can defend him, who knows his game, who can get under his skin, gets him frustrated. A good portion of Mike Evans' worst games come against this dude. And that's just a historical trend that I'm going to keep rolling. Like, it's been so long now, and Mike Evans is obviously a Hall of Famer. It's not coincidence at this point that Marshawn keeps having success against him.
Not coincidental. All right. Well, hopefully these old veterans have a battle for the ages, and Schultzy makes do. Stock down. Sit number 1 for you here, Bigz. Who's on your bench?
Well, I'm busy in the private chat. I'm trying to ask Schultzy a start-sit question. And
I'll go with mine then. I'm going to sit Devin Singletary, as you guys ruined my surprise in the last segment. But
it says sit Travis Etienne.
I know it does. Anyways, he's a player that I'm going to
Now I don't even know what to do.
Tyrone Tracy seized the opportunity last week, when Singletary was injured, and it looks like Singletary is going to be back in action this week, but the level and involvement raises questions about Singletary's role and his effectiveness upon his return, making him a risky start this week. In his absence, Tracy not only dominated the carries, but also proved to be an explosive playmaker. He racked up 129 yards on just 18 attempts. His performance included notable runs of 25, 27, and 13 yards. He has the ability to break big gains. Singletary, while a season back, may struggle to reclaim the same level of production and, get the same amount of touches, knowing that Tracy has now officially broken out a bit here. So they face the Bengals in week 6. It faces another challenge for Singletary. The Bengals have an effective been against the run this season, which may further inhibit it. Singletary's ability to find success with questions surrounding his workload and effectiveness. Sitting Singletary this week could be the best move for fantasy managers looking to maximize their lineup potential. So, with wiser options out there, I'd start even Tyrone Tracy over Singletary this week. That's how low I am on him. So,
Hey, Schultzy, can you address my question that I put in the chat?
All right, we got a question coming in from dot.card/bigbonedFFB. Start one: Mike Evans, Tyrone Tracy, or Rashid Shaheed. Mike, what do you got?
that's a tough one, man.
It's not tough. That's the whole point. It's not tough. It's very easy.
Mike Evans, Tyrone
Start
Tracy,
Mike Evans.
or Rashid Shaheed. Yes.
New Orleans gives up 20 points to outside wide receivers in fantasy per game.
But Schultzy just said, he's got a tough matchup and all this and that and all this. So are we not listening to our friend?
No, he's dumpster diving me so far that you're still starting Mike Evans. You son of a bitch.
All right, my sit is Devontae Smith. To look at the surface level matchup, you have the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Cleveland Browns pass defense, which allows 39 fewer points than average and also is a run funnel. That's because the Eagles are going to take a lead and they're not going to have to do much but hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. Positive game script for Saquon Barkley. Devontae Smith isn't going to be needed, and he's been hurt and banged up anyway. So this is for his return to action. But then let's dive a little deeper and look at fantasy points matchups. And we see that the Browns allow 19.7 fantasy points to outside wide receivers, but only 9.9 against slot receivers, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL for hardest defenses for slot receivers to go up against. Devontae Adams isn't going to be necessary. With AJ Brown back, if he comes back too, he'll be scoring on the outside. Saquon Barkley show. Devontae Smith not necessary. So I am sitting him this week.
Okay. Yeah. That's some bold takes here, folks. And we're about an hour in here, guys. And that'll about do it for us on another...
Hours are 60 minutes, Mike, unless Canada is 54 minutes.
I said, did I say over an hour? I said almost an hour.
Do you use minutes there?
Yeah.
What is the metric? How do you measure time with the metric system, Mike?
TikTok with seconds.
Oh, here. Do you use an app on your phone just to tell the time, but the app on your phone plays videos, and it's the only way you know how to tell time?
We have breaking news from last night just now. Laviska Shenault is not dead, folks.
Look at him go. That was right after he fumbled earlier too. Last night,
just now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and scan the QR code in the top corner of the screen and find all of our shows. It's my dot account, but these guys are on most of my shows anyway, so you can find the links to all those, including this one, the Dynasty Pulse, on the Undroppables Network and Fantasy Football Plus, as well as our Uncovered. I do the Raiders, Grindberg does the Chiefs, and Schultzy does the Jaguars, and you can find all those shows over on the Undroppables. Plus, we are all on FFAN. The Fantasy Football Advice Network YouTube channel is also linked there, where you can find our fantasy forecast shows, as well as our live stream, Points After Thursday, Sunday morning breakfast with Bigz. And it's also a link to the FSAN site where you go and you sign up and you become a member there, and you can interact with everybody, and all the shows and content are there too. It's the easiest way to go. Just scan the QR code in the top corner of the screen and and come find us.
Let's do it. And we hope you win.
And we hope you win, unless your name is Amber or FF Coder or Tommy Moe this week.
Let's go.